Hi, welcome to Totally Outdoors NL. I'm Ken Griffiths with today's tip of the week. How to clean the shotgun. I'm going to show you right from taking the shotgun apart, to putting it back together, to what spots to clean, and how to actually clean your gun, and the barrel of your gun. So I hope you like this tip. So this is some of the gear that I have with me now to clean my shotgun. I have some patches, the rod I'm going to use for the 12 gauge. Right here is some rags chopped up, the hopper 9 for the barrel, some Remington oil, some hopper 9 oil, a hammer, some Q-tips, and some patches. And I do have a little tool with me for popping the pins out. I use a nail. I did have a tool with me, but I don't know where the tool is still. So I'm just going to show you how to do it by using a nail. So first of all, you got to start with a lot of room. As you can see, I got a big table laid out in front of me here, and all of my gear is laid out on the table. Now today, I'm going to be taking apart and cleaning a Remington 887. So on most pump action guns, this shotgun here, you have to pull down on the lever a little bit and unscrew the button up top. This will release your barrel. So where I have a sling on my gun, it's already attached. So now I can go ahead and take my barrel off. Very simple. I'm going to lay this barrel down and I'm going to show you how to clean that later on. So inside your gun now, in this one here, as you can see, there's 2 pins. 1, 2. These pins got to be tapped out. So I'm going to tap these pins out with this little small roughing nail. And that's going to actually take the trigger out. You don't have to tap them out all the way. When you do get them with just a little bit of a tap, see, here's the pin. If you want to, you can use the other pin to tap them out. But in your pins itself, there's little divots in them. And remind yourself what pin goes in what slot. I usually put one on the left side of me, where the left one came out, and one on the right side of me, where the right one came out. And now my whole trigger is ready to come out. Very simple. So I'm going to lay this down right here, and I'm going to show you how to clean that. Now inside, you could say, is the guts of your gun. So we're just going to go ahead, pull the head on it now because there's nothing else hold it in place. Like so. And here's your firing pin. Now your whole gun is actually taken apart. So now that I got my firing pin all out, it looks pretty rusty now, or not rusty, but in rough shape after all the winter out on the sea, duck hunting all the fall. So I'm going to take the top off my oil, and I'm going to put the straw on. And the reason why I like putting the straw on is because there's all kinds of crevices that just a normal spray can't get into. Like, I'm not going to use this oil to rub in little small cracks. Actually, that oil is a little thick, so I like to use the Remington oil. It dries really fast, and you can get in those little spots where it has to go. Now I'm going to wet this down. This is the pin. And I'm going to lay this aside and just let it sit. So when I get halfway through cleaning, this is where your rag comes in handy. I can just wipe the oil off, put it back, and that'll be done and finished. So in my gun, she's the M87, but she's all armor locked. So what this means, there's a plastic coating all on the outside of the gun. So there's no cleaning on the outside of the gun at all. So inside, in here, is a tube. And I'll just give this tube here a little spray. Inside and out on both ends. Spray down the two rails. Now I'll take my rag and I'll wipe it off. That's pretty much what you're doing if you're a duck hunter like myself. You're taking all the pindies out, the pine needles out of all them slots and crevices. And here's where a Q-tip comes in handy. So you can take your Q-tip where the cloth or the rag couldn't get and clean all those little spots out. So, they say that a Remington gun, when you go to shoot it, is best left dry. And what that means is, you're going to take your shotgun before the season opens and clean every stitch of oil off your gun. And that's going to help improve your shot with no oil left on your gun or no residue left in your gun. It's going to help your gun perform a lot better. So now that I got all this done and cleaned out, like so, I'm just going to give it a light spray. And that's it for this. So this part of the action is now finished. When I'm going to assemble this part, it's all done, ready, cleaned. As you can see, it's done fairly quick. On most stocks, they're wooden. So the trigger is this part right here in the 887. I'm just going to lightly again give it a couple of light sprays, like so. And again, this is where the Q-tip comes in handy. And I'm going to give it a couple little flicks where the pine needles and that has been gone down through. And just to clean them out. And actually, while you're doing that, you can see where all the gunpowder has been left inside. Because inside here where your trigger is still, is where your hammer is still. And this is where all the gunpowder locks up in your gun. So I like to clean all this off. I'm going to take my rag now and wipe it all down. Because again, I don't like my gun soaking wet. I'm going to just clean all this off. Now it's all free of pine needles. The bottom of my gun I don't have to spray here because it's all plastic. True to the plastic, all the section here is all plastic. And that's why I like this gun. Because you can take her in the salt water. And if you break down, you can row home with it. So now this is done here. Now that I got all this cleaned out, I'm just going to give it a light spray. Just a misty spray. And that's it. I don't want to overspray it. Because this one goes back into the gun. It's not going to be taken out and cleaned up. So it's a very light, it's just very light spray on it. And that's it. Now this section is done. Now back to the pin itself. Remember I sprayed it earlier? Now I'm going to take a rag. And it's right full of gunpowder actually. And like it should be. It's your firing pin. And there's a few pine needles in there too, as well. So, if you're wondering how this firing pin actually works, it twists. So when it's locked in place, when it actually hauls the shell out itself, it'll twist the bolt, like so. And it'll actually flick the shell out. So, that's one of the good designs that I do like about this gun too. So I'm going to clean all this up. Now I don't want too much oil left on this. Actually I'm pretty much going to put this gun away now until next season. And I'll just take her out before the season starts and just give her lightly drying up. Now this is done. I'm just going to give this too just a little light spray. like so, and that's it. And actually I'm going to wipe it down now with a cleaner rag. So now that I got all this done again now, this is cleaned up and ready to go. I'm not going to oil this no more than what it needs to be, because I don't want the oil to get into the pin itself. It's just a little light cleaning. I can lay this down. Now, in here, inside the gun, right here, this is where the trigger just came out. So, I'm going to give this a little light spray, even though it's only plastic. People might say, well, why are you spraying the plastic down? But now I'm going to take a rag, and I'm going to wipe all the pine needles and all the dust and gunpowder out of that section of the gun. So now that when I go to put it back together, I know that there's no pine needles or anything like that going to be in my way to assemble the gun. So you can take out the choke tube if you like. In this one, it's just a turn in the tube, and you can pop it out. So at the end of your tube, in your gun itself, you want to, in mine, you actually have to press down on it and give it a turn. That's going to eject your spring. As you can see now, the spring is very rusty actually. So I'll have that out. And this is my choke tube. I'm actually going to clean this up too with a rag. I'm not going to put any oil on it. And it is mandatory to put your tube back, because you're only allowed 3 shells when you're hunting. Now if you're not hunting and you're out clay shooting, you can take this tube out, your plug as you would call it, and you can clay shoot with it. As long as you remember, when duck season starts or your hunting season starts back up, you have to put it back. So what I like to do now, I like to take the rod for the barrel and shove it in the tube itself, just to give it that little clean. And that's it. That was fairly simple. So now I'll take a little Remington oil, very little, spray it down the tube. So now the spring I just took out, I'm going to hold on one end of it, right here. You might not think that the littlest things like a spring like this inside your barrel, actually it's fairly rusty. If you don't take it out and clean it up, it's one of the things that if the spring breaks off inside your gun, now it's going to hold more than 3 shells. So you just hold it on one hand like that and just keep turning it, and it'll come out to the end. And then when you're finished, you can just lightly spray it down. And I'm going to show you. That's what come off the spring itself. And I constantly clean my gun. But this is the first time I cleaned her when the season ended. So she's due for a little cleaning. So again, take your gun oil, or Remington oil, and give it a little spray. And that's it for that. So, back to piecing the gun back together. Here's a little hint for you. If you're not sure how to put your gun back together, you can go on YouTube or stay tuned with me and I'll show you how to do it. Don't be afraid to take her back to the dealer and say, guys, listen, I'm stumped, help me out, can somebody put this gun together for me? It's the best thing you ever done. When I first got my first 12 gauge, it took me hours and hours trying to get the gun put back together because I didn't know how to do it. And it's just foolish pride. That's all it was. But anyway, So now you got your tube in your spring. You can release it back down to the chamber again. And mine is an interlocking one, which I like. And that's it. So that's it for that part. So now we're going to put the sleeve back on. Right here. This is for the pump action itself. And then right here, I'm going to put the two arms back in the slots. And I'm going to take the firing pin and lay it inside where it's supposed to go. Now, I never said it was easy, but it's not hard. It's not difficult at all. So now that you got your firing pin in place, you can turn your gun over now, and you're going to install the trigger. Now, the trigger on this gun, the head got to go in first before the actual trigger does. So here it is right here. Now your left pin in this hand, your right pin I mean, a little tap, and it should slide down very easily. So now that we have this all in place, your trigger is in place and your pin is in place, we're going to clean the barrel. So what I like to do first, I like to take a patch. Because of the high amount of shells that I put down through the barrel of the gun this year, I'm going to take a small patch out and I'm going to put on the tip of the cleaner. So here's a little trick that you can learn to keep you from dirting up your rod. So you just take it and lay it on the end of your patch like this. Shove it in the end of your gun, and you can shove it through, all the way through, until it comes out the other side. Now it comes out the other side, you'll see a little puff of dust. You can hold it on, and actually she wasn't too bad. Now, this is how much gunpowder is not on your cleaner. So you can pull that back through. I like to hold it up to the light, and it is clean as a whistle. And that's the way it should be. There's no burn marks, there's no spurs. So I like to take a drop of the barrel oil. It's very strong actually. Give it a little dip on the pad. Take it like this. Give it a little tiny dip. I like to take the pad a couple of times and fold it over. Make sure it's all on the pad itself. And take it and run it through your barrel. Now I'll do this when the season's closed. When the season opens up again, I'll take the tube again, and there you go. I'll take the tube again, I'll have a look at it. Barrel's nice and clean. And for anybody who's like myself, I got a choke tube here. You can remove your choke tube and put your regular choke in if you want to, and give it a cleaning. Now, like I said again, this barrel is all plastic, so there's not much cleaning on this. On the outside, just a ring here that holds the gun together. So I'll give this a little turn and give it a small spray. Not a whole lot. And right here at the butt of the gun, or the barrel I should say, is the only piece of steel that's showing. So I'm going to take it and give this little spray. And that's it for that. So now when the season starts, I'm going to get another couple of dry patches and I'm going to run it down the barrel of the gun. And clean all the bore oil out. So now, take the gun again. You just pull back on the action just a small bit. You take the barrel and pull it back. Put the knob back on. You don't have to over tighten it because you might want to get it off. So it's good to test your gun. Make sure this is in good working order. Even fire the pin, dry it. And when you're putting it back in your case and you have her cocked, what I don't like about it is all your springs are left open and lengthened. So if you uncock her, pull the trigger, put her back in your case, she's fine. Some people leave them open and leave that spring inside in full length the whole time she's left open. So it's not a really good idea to do that. And that's how you clean your shotgun. So a good tip to remember, if you have a sling on your gun, like I do, I'm going to give them, because they're just regular steel, I'm going to give them a little spray just to make sure we'll keep the rust out of them for the next season. And another tip to remember is that your case itself, inside, I have a hard shell case, inside right here. If you want to, you can take your case itself and spray your case down. Because what the foam will do, it will actually suck the oil out of your gun. So you can just take it and give it a couple of little sprays. That'll moisturize the pad in itself. It'll put a little oil on your gun. That'll never hurt it. And spray your case down. And when you go to put your gun away, all the oil will stay on your gun and inside your gun where it's supposed to stay, instead of the sponge itself sucking the oil off your gun. So really, when you put it away then, dry, you're not doing your gun any favors. So I hope this tip helps you in cleaning your shotgun. And that's my tip of the week.